Welcome to my channel. My name is Vanessa. For those of you who have never seen me before or who don't follow me over on Instagram, this is my first time showing my face here on my YouTube channel, but I wanted to make it a regular occurrence. The start of 2020. Happy New Year. So, as we step into the new year, I wanted to talk about all of my favorite supplies from last year. So there are some new products that I have tried out and I've grown to love, and they've become regular staples in my watercolor journey. And there are some really tried and true favorites that have been with me from the very beginning. So this video is going to touch on all of the supplies that I've been using and that I absolutely love. And then, next year, 2021, we'll take a look back and compare. And I will leave a link to every product that I mentioned also in the comments below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It would really help me out, and it would really help me to put more content out there for you. Thank you. So stay tuned. So we're going to start off with a staple of watercolor. And for me, the most important part of watercolor, if you are looking to grow and if you are looking to improve your skills, the one thing that I always recommend for anyone who asks is upgrade your paper. So we're going to start with paper. So most of you will probably have already guessed which is my all-time favorite paper to paint with. It's a given. It's a lot of people's favorites, and that is Arches. So I use Arches cold press, 300 GSM, 140 pounds. So for my watercolor paper, I prefer watercolor blocks as opposed to watercolor pads. But they're glued down on all four sides, and there's no need to tape down your paper because they're glued to each other. So they have a little opening here. And what I do is I just stick a palette knife in it to release the paper. Arches is a super heavy duty paper. So it takes a lot of washes of water. It takes a really long time to dry. So here, that could be a pro or con. If you love to take your time with a piece and kind of work on it for a while and you don't want it to dry out, this is it. If you are super impatient and you're like, oh my goodness, this is taking forever, I can't do this, either get a hair dryer or a drying tool or just wait. I'm not going to tell you not to get this because this is the best paper. So I love Arches. The only thing I do not like painting on Arches paper are galaxies. For my galaxies, I use Fluid 100 paper. This one has been around with me from the very beginning. This is one of the first watercolor papers that I tried, aside from the super cheap brand. But I always use Fluid 100 for my galaxies. And the reason for that is because the Fluid 100 doesn't have a lot of tooth to it. It's almost like hot press paper in that it's super smooth and a lot of the paint sits on top before it starts sinking in. This is 100% cotton watercolor paper, but it takes longer for the paint to seep into the paper. And for blending colors in galaxies, I feel like that's essential. You need to be able to kind of blend it on the surface. And it's essential for me to be able to kind of work that color a little bit before it starts seeping in and staining the paper. And for that, Fluid 100 is the best for me. This year was a year of new discovery for me in terms of the supplies that I use and in terms of things that kind of have become staples in my watercolor journey. Why do I keep calling it a watercolor journey? It sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Another new product that I discovered this year was the Legion Stonehenge watercolor paper. This became my number 2 favorite watercolor paper. I use this one quite a lot. And one of the best things about this paper is that it's super high quality, but not as expensive as Arches. And finally, the third paper that I discovered this year, and it was gifted to me by a dear friend, Noreen. Thank you, Noreen, if you're watching this. And it is the Stonehenge Black watercolor paper. I'm going to show you a couple of things that I've done on the Stonehenge Black, and a lot of people DM'd me and asked me, you know, what can I do with this? It's black paper. What can I do? So I will impose some images. How about up there? Beep, 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 right there. And show you some of the things that I've done with it. I've practiced a lot with it. I have kind of been experimenting with this paper, and it's great. It's one of the blackest black watercolor papers that I've seen. I've seen a couple of black watercolor papers, but they have more like a gray tone to it. So this is a pad, and it is 300 GSM, 140 pounds, and it comes in 15 sheets. This has been awesome. This has helped me to kind of get out of my comfort zone and experiment with new techniques and new things. And this really kind of pushed me this year. While we're on the topic of paper, I wanted to mention some journals, because I know a lot of you like to watercolor in your journals. You like to practice in your journals. It's really a no pressure type of painting. So journals are excellent for improving your skills, for experimenting, because it's your journal. Nobody's really going to see it. It's for you. Although I share my journals on Instagram, that's a personal choice. Not a lot of people do. My tried and true are the Blue Pine Arts watercolor journals. I love these journals. Like I really do. I can't say enough great things about them. These journals come with 100% cotton paper. Paper is very, very sturdy. Very sturdy. It's such a really smooth application. This journal is absolutely amazing. I have 7 of them. I can't get enough of them. I can. Anytime Trupti from Blue Pine Arts has them up in her shop, I always go in and purchase 1 or 2. But I mean, look at these. You can do beautiful gradients on them. I mean, the paper is just absolutely amazing. And the customer service for Blue Pine Arts is great too. I posted on Instagram once, I had a problem with just one page in my journal, that it was pilling a little. The paper was just a little defective. And honestly, it was just 1 page. The rest of the journal was fine. And Trupti DM'd me and told me that she would send me a whole new journal for 1 page. Like, if that's not amazing customer service, I don't know what is. They come in a lot of different sizes. These are my big ones. Here is a small landscape one. This one is perfect for, you know, little landscape paintings. You can take this one out into the field. She even has ones with black watercolor paper, which, yeah, right? So these are shimmery paints on black watercolor paper. My swatches. All right, so new discovery this year. This year I discovered Massery sketchbooks, and here is one. So the Massery sketchbooks I have become, I mean, again, those of you who follow me on Instagram know I have gone crazy for this thing. So you go on to the Massery website. It's masseryco.com if I'm not mistaken. No, this is not sponsored. This is just something that I fell in love with. You go on to the Massery website and you can customize your journal from the paper that's inside to the cover. I mean, everything is customizable. So I got this really pretty gradient color. It has, you know, the little flappy thing here. What is this called? The little band thing to keep everything in place. I filled mine with 300 GSM 100% cotton watercolor paper. It costs a little bit extra, but I'm telling you, it's well worth it. So the first couple of pages are sort of like bullet journal pages where you can map out, you know, different things, your motivations. It has a couple of sheets with grid paper, and then your watercolor paper starts. For this one, I'm using it as my Stargazer journal, and I've been documenting my my pages and my processes of this journal over on my Instagram. So if you want to see a lot of videos of you know, the things that I show in here, then you definitely want to go over there. This journal is just amazing. The paper is super, super high quality paper. This, for example, I used 5 or 6 layers of paint on this paper. And look at that. There is no warping of the paper. There's a little bit when you put them all together. This has been absolutely amazing. Look at all of this. It comes with a flap pocket in the back, so you can put some supplies in there. It comes with also one in the front. It comes with a little swatch card for you, and a little envelope right here. If you turn it, there is yet another envelope. It comes with a bookmark so you can document where you are. Close it, and I mean, I love this thing. Oh, I love it. And they have so many different covers that you can choose from. You can get choose to get it customized. Of course, I'll put my name on it because what else am I going to put on it? So you can choose to get it customized. You don't have to. It is spiral bound. It lays flat, but you can't see the spirals. I have a thing about spiral notebooks. I don't really like them, but this one kind of caught my attention. It doesn't look spiral from the front. It lays flat, but it is spiral. So yay, A+. Okay, so now let's move on to brushes. When I first started painting, I went to my local art supply store and I asked one of the people who work there to kind of help me out. So the guy who works there does watercolor. He also teaches watercolor classes. And I was kind of at a loss. I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know what to get. This was back in 2017. So the first thing he said was, you know, here's some cheap paper, which, ooh. To this day, I'm like, oh, so much time wasted. But he also showed me some really good, affordable brushes. And these are them. So I started with the Princeton Select brushes. And I used these brushes for 2 years. These brushes are great. Great. They are so good for beginner watercolor. And anytime anyone who's just starting off asks me, hey, I just don't know what to get. What kind of brushes should I get? Right here. These are the ones. They are brushes for multimedia. They're not just watercolor brushes, but they are super affordable. They're going to last you a long time. And I mean, they're Princeton. Princeton is, in my opinion, one of the best brush companies out there. The best part about this is that you can get them in like packs of 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken, on Amazon for less than $15. That's affordable. So if you're just starting out and you're wondering whether or not, you know, this is actually for you and you want to try it out before like really investing your money and your time in it, I definitely suggest Princeton brushes. One thing to watch out for, however, is that Princeton, these in particular, I have never experienced these with any other Princeton brushes. These in particular have a tendency to, for the wood to crack. So you see here, and pull this back a little. See how the wood has kind of cracked and peeled off, or not the wood. I think that's the paint on top of the wood. The ferrule part has never fallen off. It has never affected this, but the wood on these brushes, the paint on the wood has a tendency to chip and peel, even after a couple of months. As I said, it doesn't affect anything. It may affect your comfort level if you are painting and you paint very close to the tip. It may affect your comfort level. But other than that, there really isn't anything wrong with them. I've only ever had to replace one of my Princeton brushes, and it was the size 10 round. And if you can see here, this one is a little bit frayed. It's a little bit, you know, it's a little beaten up. It's had its days. I've had to replace this one once. I bought my first one in 2017 and my second one in 2018. So it lasted about a year. The rest of them, they have all been with me since I started watercoloring in 2017. So fabulous brushes, fabulous. All right, so let's talk watercolors. That's what everybody's here for, right? I have a little disclaimer to make about watercolors. I don't have a particular brand preference. I don't have a brand favorite. I use colors from across different brands. I would say that I lean towards one brand than I do towards others. But I wouldn't call them my favorite. And that is Mgram. I love Ngram. I love the consistency of their paints. There are some colors that I don't love, but there are so many Mgram colors that I do love. Instead of just my top watercolors, I'm going to talk to you about my top colors in watercolor. This is my main palette. This is what I use for the majority of my paintings, and like my galaxy paintings, my celestial paintings. This is it. It is a mess, but it is my mess, and I love it so much. So let me give you a close-up of that. The beauty of this is that I have my ready-made colors. This is a mix of about 4 or 5 different blues. I have some purples, some ready-made pinks. I love this palette. So it took me a while to get to here. I started off when I first started watercoloring, and I'm going to give you a couple of do's and don'ts, okay? This is supposed to be my favorites, but I'm going to throw in a little word of advice from Vanessa. Don't go buying a ton of tube watercolors and then putting it all in a palette, because you ain't going to use it. You're not going to use them all. I purchased colors in all the entire spectrum. I purchased watercolors and I did not use them. I found that I did not lean towards the earth tone colors, like the sepias and the umbers and all of that. That was not me. I leaned towards this. So I have a ton of watercolor tubes that I don't use. So when you're starting out, start out with some pans and then upgrade to tubes if you absolutely need to. However, I did, in the midst of my shopping frenzy when I first started watercoloring in 2017, found some colors that I absolutely loved. And those are the ones that are going to be in my list for my 2019 favorites of watercolor. Okay, so let's talk my favorite colors of 2019. My number one favorite all-time color in the entire universe is Anthraquinone Blue by Mgram. So we're going to start with that color. Let me actually switch this to the other side here, and I'm going to be swatching them on, you guessed it, Arches paper. All right, so Anthraquinone Blue. I don't even know what to say. I absolutely love this blue. It waters down into a super beautiful light blue. If you saturate your brush with this color, you can build it up to this super beautiful midnight, almost black. It looks almost black color. It is stunning. And it is so versatile. I think I went through 3 tubes of Anthraquinone Blue this year. 3. Look at the range in this. Next up in my list of favorite colors of the year is Bright Clear Violet by Magello Mission Gold. And it is just a gorgeous shade of purple. It is bright, in your face, super saturated. Then we have Viridian by Mgram. And again, it is a super saturated, beautiful, brilliant green. Gorgeous. We also have on the top of my favorite list is Helio Purple by Sennelier. So this is sort of like a pink purple color. My other favorite color for 2019 is Bordeaux by Daniel Smith. And like I don't even know what to say about these colors. It is just delicious. And I have 2 more favorite colors. The next one is Peacock Blue by Magello Mission Gold. And again, these Magello colors are super bright, super saturated, very beautiful colors. And finally, Phthalo Turquoise by Daniel Smith, which is a beautiful, beautiful. How many times can I say beautiful in one video? Count. Let me know. It is a gorgeous turquoise. And it's not quite showing up on camera as beautiful and vibrant as it is, but take my word for it. Or go purchase them yourself. So these are all tube paints. And when I am painting a galaxy, these are staples in my galaxy. Staples. I use these colors for nearly every single painting that I do. I love this color story. I love it. Right. What else is on my watercolor list? You all know that I make my own handmade watercolors, the Sprout Creative. Shameless plug. And those of you who follow me along, I'm going to keep saying this all the time. Those of you who follow me on Instagram know that I absolutely 100% believe in and stand by my watercolors. I put a lot of care and a lot of my heart into them. And this is my collection, my personal collection of watercolor shimmers. Now, not every shimmer in my line is here, but for the most part, these are them. Oh, look at that beautiful shimmery goodness. Yeah, I'm super excited about this. So this is my collection of shimmers. When I first, I'm going to admit, when I first started watercoloring, I didn't see the point in shimmers. I was like, who is going to paint with shiny, metallic, shimmery, glittery watercolor? Nobody. I was wrong, because this past year, 2019, for me was the year of the shimmer. So I have been adding these shimmers to everything. I love them. I love them so much. I can't even begin to tell you how much I love them. So not only do I use them in like full-blown paintings, but I use them to add accents to a lot of my pieces. Of course, aside from my shimmers, I also have my regular non-shimmers or mattes. And these are them. And I can tell you that my most used color this year has been Sweetheart. Do you see that pan? This is about the 4th time that I've hit pan on Sweetheart. Sweetheart, Antwerp, all of them. I know. I love them. I love them. Next up, gouache. I discovered gouache this year. I've been seeing like an influx of gouache in my Instagram feed. And then, like miraculously, Arteza reached out to me. They're the first company who has ever reached out to me and said, hey, we'd like to send you some products for you to try. I was just like, what? Like me? It was a moment for me. It was a moment. It was the very first time that a company has like reached out to me and sent me products. So I was really happy. One of the products that they sent me was their gouache. I got to try gouache for the very, very first time. And I got to try it on a large scale because their box of gouache comes with 60 colors. So these are all of their colors. I'm sure that you have seen these all around YouTube and Instagram. So I'm not going to kind of bore you with every color. But they come in these little trays, and the whole thing is just full of trays, tray upon tray upon tray, full of gouache tubes. And as you can see, mine are very much loved, very much loved. I'll throw a couple of pieces up here, showing what I've made with. I can't say enough great things about Arteza gouache. My review of this favorite may not be the best because Arteza gouache and just one other gouache is the only one that I have tried that I really love. I also tried the Himi gouache, but Arteza comes out on top for me. Okay, so now let's talk about a few miscellaneous things that I have used this year quite a bit that I love and you have definitely seen around. Number one is my Copic Opaque White. I use this to add white accent pieces to nearly all of my paintings. Anytime you see white in my painting, anytime you see something very luminous on my black watercolor paper, it has a base of Copic Opaque White. This has been the whitest white that I have been able to find. It's bold, it's opaque, it waters down beautifully, it blends beautifully. This is an absolute staple. This is extremely, extremely hard to find in the US. I'm not sure why. I used to be able to buy it in my local art supply store, and now I can't do it anymore. They don't sell it. I haven't been able to find it on Amazon. Third-party sellers do have them for an exorbitant amount. It's like $30, $40 for these tiny, tiny bottles. I ended up finding some on eBay, and this tiny little bottle cost me $23. But you know what? For me, it's worth it because I love this. Next, we have my little circle maker tool. This is amazing for drawing circles. So you have the big circle on the outside, and then you have a couple of, different size circles. And then if you see here, it has little pencil marks where you can stick your pencil in and rotate it to draw a perfect circle. Another tool I cannot live without is my T-square. This one is all beat up. It's plastic. They have metal ones, but in order to get perfect straight lines across your paper, definitely recommend a T-square. It hooks on to the edge of your paper. That way you know that it is perfectly straight across. Usually with regular rulers, I have a really hard time kind of gauging if my line is crooked or not, and my lines usually end up like this. But with this, it's a guarantee that you can take it, hook it to the side of your paper, and you have a straight line across. Love this. I want to talk about a couple of props that I use when I take my pictures for Instagram. So one of my favorite things to use when I post my pictures, and I use these as brush rests, as backdrops, things of that nature, are these beautiful resin pieces by Kiki Custom Art. And I'll link her shop down below. And these are just, look at these. Aren't these just amazing? I have a ton of different resin pieces from Kiki Custom Art, and I use them as flat lays in my picture. I use them as brush rests, and I will show you a couple here. And they just add a little pop, a little pizzazz to your Instagram pictures. And yeah, I can't say enough great things about these. I have a bunch of these, and I use them in all sorts of ways. Next up is this little gadget. See this thing? So you take this little gadget, and I forget what the name of this is. I will put it somewhere around here. So this has been the finds of the year for me. So I found this through Join with Waffles. She is a YouTuber here. I'm sure that the majority of you have heard of her. She got it in, I think it was a scrawler box. And I was like, that looks pretty interesting. So what is this? So you stick this inside of your jar of water. So this, once it's stuck to the bottom of your jar, it suctions itself to the bottom, and you take your brush and swirl it around the water, and you can scrub your brush inside the little silicone nodes or nodules that are kind of sticking out of it. And this is amazing. I love this thing. I have to say, this is probably the find of 2019. I will, again, everything that I'm talking about here, I will put a link in the description below, but this is awesome. It's a really effective brush cleaner. It gets everything out of that brush, everything. Another miscellaneous item of 2019, and I just discovered this towards the end of 2019. And again, this is not a sponsored post. This is going to be the second time that I talk about this company, but it's just because I absolutely love this product. It is not sponsored. The Arteza wood slices. At the end of the year, at the end of 2019, I wanted to make ornaments for all of my friends and family, and I attached it to their gifts in place of like a little name tag. I painted things like this little one. When I first decided that I wanted to undertake this project, I started it in October or November because I wanted to give myself enough time to have it done by Christmas. So I ordered these on Amazon. And these had fairly good reviews. It was really hard for me to find some that had really good reviews across the board. I found the ones with the best reviews. I received them. Everything looked great. Everything looked fine. I started painting on them. I did some with acrylic and I did some with watercolor. And I really enjoyed the way that my watercolor ones came out, so I wanted to do a few more. I let them dry overnight, and when I came back, all of them had cracked. Each and every one, even the ones that I used acrylic with. And then I looked in the bag just to look at these, and the majority of them were cracked. Look how thin they were. So I was really disappointed because this is really, this was a gift for my friends and my family, and I was not going to give them, wood pieces that were falling apart. So I went back to to Amazon, to the internet, trying to find better ones. I didn't. But then, like a week later, after I was like giving up on this, I was like, I'm not even going to do this if this is going to be my experience. Arteza reached out to me again, and I was like, what? You guys are mind readers. So they sent me their 45 wood slices, and it came with the cord that you can hang them with. They're all pre-sanded, and let me just show you the difference. Here are one of the Arteza slices. Look at that. Look how thick they are in comparison to this. Look at the difference. I have to say, again, shocked because none of them, not one of them cracked, and I loaded them with water. And if you follow me on Instagram, that's going to be my catchphrase. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen me test them out, set them aside for a day or two, seal them, and show you what they look like. And none of them, I saturated it with water. None of them cracked. None of them. These are it. So those were all of my favorite supplies from 2019. And I'm curious to see what 2020 brings. I always discover like one or two new things. It usually becomes, something that I use on a daily basis. Yeah, I will keep you guys updated. Stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to take a lot of these supplies and kind of break them down for you in the next couple of videos. I'm going to start with watercolor paper and then brushes and walk you through the pros and cons of different brands, what you can expect, what to look for, things that you can do to improve your skills. I am still going to continue to post tutorials, but I also wanted to throw in some vlogs here and there, show you a behind the scenes into my small business of handmade watercolors, give you a behind the scenes look at that. Thank you. Have a great day. Hello. What? That makes no sense. Okay, I have no clue what I'm doing. This is my first video. You can't be mad. Oh, you could see all the glare in my glasses. I am so sorry. Maybe I should get some anti-glare lenses. Maybe if I look to the side. That's awkward. Okay. So, arches. Journals. Hi. Just for a shimmery watercolor. And I was like, circle maker, circle maker.